How's it going? Good day, night, noon, whenever you're getting this message. This is a follow-up video to the video we made a trailer for. We recorded the whole thing, Genesis 2:3, Eve and an eye of good. We're going to jump back one more chapter so we can just, start moving forward as if time is just distance. So we're going to go to chapter 1. Bereshit bara, in beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It was dark and formless, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And God's Spirit hovered over the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light." And then there was day and there was night. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the heavens that separates the waters above and below that were the waters above." And let there be lights in the heavens to separate day from night, as separated light from dark. And God made the Kohavim also. Let them be for special days, nights, and times. And then was the addition of vegetation, the separation of what is meaningful and meaning, the division of waters, the subtraction of a rib, and just before that, the speaking, the sounding as well of the words. God said, "Let us make man in our image." So in the image of God, in the likeness of us, He created them. He created him. Male and female, He created them. And God said, "Be fruitful and multiply." So we have meaning, meaningful, sound, light, so why in the world would you ever think science is in opposition? Because in a real sense, the material language that is binding is math. You still with me? 7 days of creation, prime number, separating, division, subtraction, multiplication, addition, sound, speaking, let there be things, light, separating day from night, relativity, Lorentz contraction, expanse, lights in the firmaments, cosmology, astronomy, astrology. So why in the world would you think science is in opposition? Because these are languages that are all there. Is there an additional glue? How about a language that is also representation and communication, that just so happens to be the same language that its most sacred writings are written in? Yes. How about an alphanumeric language? That's Hebrew. For example, in the Star of David, you have two triangles representation and communication. You put them together, you get a crosshair. Aim. You break up the Star of David, you get 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And that's what that book is written as, containing all of those elements. In and of itself, the book is binding. So if anyone, or yourself, when we say, why would you think science is in opposition? If you say they're not, I think you're closer to a type of sacredness that is knowing that we don't really know anything, that it is about allowances and affordances. And for those that might say, oh, they are in opposition. Well, that would be why. Because you think that way. So based on what we just said, we speak that is binding. So if you have something opposite to say, a belief that you maintain or carry that is in opposition, well, respectfully, I ask you to say something. Can you explain it? And then, why? Why would you be opposed to something like what we're saying, which is that it's already binding? Things are already bound, and we share it with you. You feel in opposition? Yeah, I do. Please explain. And then why? We're running out of time here, so the last thing I'll say is this. It's a question and a proposition. The question is what we just mentioned. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard a perspective shared like this? Dare we ask, have you ever seen it that way before? Now, if your answer is no, you've never seen it that way before, the next question is, so were you blind to this? And if you say, yes, I was blind to this, well, technically, that's a Christ manifestation, isn't it? You're no longer blind to that. We just healed the blind. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. Why? Because there's been enough time in the past where the carrying away of things is they get carried away that it happened. They get carried away that it didn't happen. But how about carry away this with you? There is no story like that without the blind. There would be nothing to go back and forth about, whether it happened or not, if there was no blind person. There would be nothing to go back and forth about if there was no Christ doing healing of the blind. So as much time as we've spent going back and forth of how it's written, did it happen or not, and we just manifested it right here, the important thing is that the story is happening. It just happened. It's still happening as I'm speaking. And that it's not possible without you, without yous, without us. That's the main thing. But if you're like me sometimes, most of the time, then you just like a good healthy discussion, sometimes an argument, a healthy argument, to catalyze some truth, get those energies going. And you might ask, well, then what would I be in opposition to? Great question. Well, then we might offer a suggestion. If what's going on here is a happening, it is a SUM thing, it is a sum of things, a sum ofs that is existing. Your eyeballs are existing. What you're hearing, what I'm saying is existing. The platform that you're watching it on is existing because of these stories that are existing that we can go back and forth on. Okay, that's on one side. That is existence in a shared reality. So then the suggestion would be, if you'd still like to be in opposition to something, then we say, those that are of the attempt of not thing, N-A-U-G-H-T thing, the of nothing nothing, the of nothing thing, the of nothing thing. In other words, if you want to be in opposition, I would suggest look carefully at anything that even seems to feel like they want one side or the other completely gone. Be in opposition to that. Because one side or the other is still in the realm of the sum of things in existing in shared reality. Because it's this side in that shared reality, or this side in that shared reality. They go back and forth like a dance, like a yin and yang, like a sun and moon. Light and dark. But over here, if you had something that was trying to just remove the dark, be in opposition to that. Because then the light would just be blinding. There'd be too much light. You'd technically be able to see everything but nothing. And then if they were trying to remove the light, it's the same thing. You would see nothing but think you're seeing everything. Or if someone wanted to take out the moon, well, what would happen? The tides would rise and Earth would be in a bad situation. Or if they took out the sun, Earth would freeze. This is the sum of things in our shared reality. So if you're looking for something to be in opposition to, be in opposition at the attempts those on the side of not thing. The for nothing, the of nothing thing. Because if you ask me, what else does that mean? That would be the attempt to reduce things that are meaningful or have vast potential. Like yourself. From a short future to a long, wonderful future, they would attempt to reduce that to nothing. Because if you were to look at that as far as things, and some things are just structure, and if they attempt to remove the structure, yeah. Everyone likes food. I'll leave you with this food example. Cake, wedding cake. You know it's a wedding cake when you see one. It's got a particular structure of design and purpose and a manner of existence that would already kind of exist its own outward reality. And then people get to participate in, eat it. Those are structures to a cake. Warm, well, maybe more cool, maybe more decadent, maybe more sweet, maybe more texturized. Those are all structures to the cake, right? Excuse me. But even let's say you keep all the ingredients, but you remove the structures. What do you get? Well, maybe you get a blob of a cake. It might taste the same. You see where I'm going? It's no longer a wedding cake. It's just a blob of something maybe edible. And then if you were to attempt to remove another layer of structure, like the recipe, like when to cook this piece, when to cook that piece, when to put that piece on top of that piece, then it's even less understandable than a blob of cake. Am I just like, what would that be? It might not even be cakey. It might just be right. Is it just going to be all liquid? Is it going to be burnt? And the ingredients are the same. So that's what I mean. The ingredients are a sum of things. It's something. And its very existence as a recipe carries itself throughout time. Even if the recipe is a day old or 1,000 years old. And then the ingredients. It takes a while to make those, to farm those, or to buy those, to prepare those. There's a sum of things and experiences that are in shared reality because people have to go get it, put it in the store, or put it in a garden, and then you can buy it, and then you have to cook it, then you cook it in a place that's made. You see? They're all structures and elements of shared reality. Then, after a while, you get it right. Maybe you make the cake. Maybe you get to eat it, and it's good. And then on top of that, what else is the cake? It's there for a wedding. Bring people together. And so there's these layers of ingredients, recipe, and structure, and meaning. And then as it starts to appear for you in that moment, then it's like, it's not just about how good the cake is. Why is it here? Why do I like this one? Wait, who's getting married? Who's sitting at this table? How many people are at this wedding? This is a nice venue. How much do they pay for this place? I think they're going to be married forever. I think they're really in love. So align to that. Because you see how I say, it goes higher and higher, right? And you guys know, the higher we go, the less words I like to say about how high, but wonderful it is. In shared reality, including the allowances and affordances. Yeah, so if you have to be in opposition to that, attempting to, over there, over here. Yeah, have a good day. Oh, and I'm going to remember this more. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I look forward to making more videos. We'll see you on the next one.